let's assume that we have com completed programming for the dining philosopher problem and compiled with visualization. On this screen, you'll see um, the application or the compiled program has been brought up, and the history graph is open. And I will not show you the thread status and thread hierarchy because you could do it fairly easily. The important part here is the history graph. So let's run step through this program. Now, once you once you see that we have MB, MA, remember these are the tags. Now, if you do want to find out the meaning of each tag, help history graph tag is all listed here. So here, MB is monitor begin, MB monitor begin. So philosopher 0 calls get, and get inside the get function, monitor begin is called. So before the philosopher can actually enters monitor, philosopher 0 is blocked. So here we see philosopher 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all waiting to enter the monitor. But only one can enter the monitor successfully. So here is the meaning of MA. MA means monitor active. So philosopher 0 runs, calls monitor procedure get, and gets blocked. So eventually the monitor mechanism picks philosopher 0 to enter. From there, philosopher 0 becomes monitor active, that is running in the monitor. ME monitor end. So philosopher 0 starts running, waiting to get into the monitor. Eventually, philosopher 0 is in the monitor. So inside the monitor, philosopher 0 tests to see whether he could eat or not. Of course, because philosopher 0 is the only thread in the monitor. Therefore, and the first one, philosopher 0, of course, can get both chopsticks. As a result, philosopher 0 exit the monitor. So that is ME monitor N and start eating. So here, after philosopher 0 is out of the monitor mechanism allows philosopher 1, who has been waiting here until philosopher 0 exits. So philosopher 1 is the next one to enter. So these are quite easy to interpret. We have a CW here. CW here means condition wait, but let me postpone the discussion of CW. Now, here, monitor. You click on the monitor button, so we see the links, linking to related events. We mentioned that philosopher 0 exit the monitor so that the monitor becomes empty. The monitor mechanism picks the next thread to enter, which is philosopher 1. So this link shows that the exit of philosopher 1 causes the exit of philosopher 0 causes philosopher 1 to run in the monitor. Now, remember, philosopher 1 is now in the monitor, but philosopher 1 is the right philosopher of philosopher 0. And the philosopher 1's left chopsticks is exactly the right chopsticks of philosopher 0. Now, because philosopher 0 has obtained both chopsticks, as a result, philosopher 1 cannot eat. So when philosopher 1 calls can eat, philosopher 1 would be blocked. So this is the CW, meaning philosopher 1 is waiting on a condition variable. Because waiting on a condition variable is technically the same as the monitor becomes empty because philosopher 1 is no more executing in the monitor. So the consequence is now monitor is empty. The monitor mechanism is allowed, the monitor mechanism would allow the next one to enter. This next one is philosopher 2, who was blocked here and then exit. This, not exit, this becoming active. So philosopher 2 becomes active because philosopher 1 is waiting on a condition variable. So philosopher 2 gets running, and inside the monitor, now, because philosopher 2 needs philosopher 1's right chopsticks, so philosopher 2 can get it because philosopher 1 is waiting on this condition variable. And philosopher 2 could definitely get philosopher 3's left chopsticks. Therefore, philosopher 2 gets both chopsticks and in its monitor execution. So here, philosopher 2 is eating. Here, philosopher 0 is eating. Now, because philosopher 2's exit, making the monitor to become empty, then philosopher 3 is allowed to get in. So philosopher 3 is in, but philosopher 3 needs a philosopher 2's right chopsticks. Therefore, philosopher 3 is blocked by the condition variable. So as you can see, the exit of philosopher 0 makes the philosopher 1 to enter. Now, philosopher 1's enter is here, monitor begin. Now, philosopher 1's cannot eat because philosopher 1's left chopsticks is now being held by philosopher 0 as his right chopsticks. Therefore, philosopher 1 must wait on a condition variable here. Now, once philosopher 1 is blocked by a condition variable, the monitor becomes empty. And this would cause the next philosopher to coming in, who is philosopher 2. So philosopher 2 was executed here but blocked. Now it's a this philosopher is allowed to continue. So keep going. Now something interesting happens. Philosopher 4 was active in order to get the 2 chopsticks he wants. And then philosopher 4 cannot get. So philosopher 4 is blocked by its self-condition variable. So because philosopher 4 is blocked by this condition variable, as a result, the monitor becomes empty. In this case, because monitor is empty, the monitor mechanism picks philosopher 0 to enter. Now, philosopher 0 gets his chopsticks and eats. Now, philosopher 0 wants to come back to release both chopsticks. Therefore, the blocking philosopher 4 causes philosopher 0 to step in. Now, philosopher 0 now is in the monitor. Then what is CY? Remember, we create a Horn monitor as we discussed in part 1, the concepts section, that we always use a Horn monitor. So when philosopher 4 waits, philosopher 0 can enter. When philosopher 0 puts down both chopsticks, philosopher 0 will signal his left neighbor and then his right neighbor. So CY means condition yield. That is, in a horn monitor call, the signaling thread yields the monitor to the released one. So here, philosopher 4 yield philosopher 4 blocks, and then the monitor is given to philosopher 0. Now, philosopher 0 must release his chopsticks. His left neighbor is philosopher 4, his right neighbor is philosopher 2. Therefore, when philosopher 0 releases chopsticks, philosopher 0 signals philosopher 4. As a result, philosopher 0 yields the monitor. See, philosopher 0 is waiting. Here, this waiting is re-entering. So this call, this yield would cause philosopher 4 to continue because philosopher 4 is able to get his chopsticks. Now, click on CY. You see, this is a signal call. Because this is a horn monitor, this signal will force the signaling thread to yield the monitor to the released. In this case, this signal would allow philosopher 4 to continue. That is, CA, philosopher 4 was waiting here. Now, because philosopher 0's the signal, philosopher 4 is able to get both chopsticks and then exit the monitor. Once philosopher 4 exit the monitor, monitor becomes empty, allowing philosopher 0 to be re-entered. Remember, philosopher 0 signaled. Because this is a horn monitor, philosopher 0 yield the monitor to philosopher 4. Upon exit of philosopher 4, the monitor becomes empty. The monitor mechanism picks philosopher 0 to re-enter. And this is the meaning of MR. And then philosopher 0 exits this execution. And once philosopher 0 exits monitor execution, the monitor becomes empty, and then the monitor mechanism allows philosopher 2 to continue. Okay, this is what has happened when this dining philosopher program is running. So here on the right-hand side, you see the monitor button. You click on the monitor button. You see the monitor list here. So here we see the monitor name is philosopher monitor. And the waiting thread inside 2, and the waiting thread outside 2, and the active thread philosopher 2 here, right? Now, if you want to see the detail, simply click on the monitor. So this is the monitor window shown by the ThreadMentor. So the left panel shows to you threads waiting to enter. They are philosopher 0 and the philosopher 4. Philosopher 0 and the philosopher 4. And the current active thread is philosopher 2. Now, there are no re-entry threads so far. For each condition variable, there is a separate window. Currently, philosopher 0, self 0, no one is waiting on it because philosopher 0 is blocked outside, waiting to enter. Self one is philosopher one, which means philosopher one is waiting for the needed chopsticks. Philosopher one is here. Now, philosopher two is active. So in this way, philosopher two would not wait on self two. Philosopher three now is waiting on self three. Philosopher three is waiting on self three. Let's trace back. We have a condition wait here. And the lower part shows to you philosopher monitor is a horn monitor. So let's quickly go through the active monitor, the active thread inside this monitor, which is horn monitor, is philosopher 2. Philosopher 0 and the philosopher 4 are waiting to enter. No re-entering one. Philosopher 1 and the philosopher 3 are blocked by self 1 and self 3 condition variables, respectively. So this is how you interpret the visualization screens and the panels when you run a monitor program written under ThreadMentor. Now, just like the warning I made when we discussed semaphore visualization, the visualization system is run in a separate process, separate from the process that runs your program. Therefore, everything happened in your program would be passed to the monitor program. So for an example, each tag here and each activity here, like a link, would be part of a message, lengthy message, passing from your program to the visualization system. Every system call would cause a program to be paused until the service is complete. So in this case, there will be so many messages floating from your program to the visualization. Before the visualization can complete the past message to it, your process will be suspended. Once the message is processed, then your process would be resumed. Therefore, it's going into the operating system from your process to the visualization system, and an acknowledgement message from the visualization back to your system. So there will be some delay. As a result, the visualization shown in the monitor window may be slightly lagging behind than your visualization history graph. So there's no harm because this is a system designed for learners like you. As long as you are able to construct the activity happen in your program and link them with what has happened in the monitor window. A few more steps later, the history graph window and the monitor window, and of course in your output window generated from stdout would sync with each other. So as long as you see some delay or some lag in some window, it's okay. It's not your problem. So this is the end of our monitor discussion. See you in the next unit. Goodbye.